Good morning, students. It's me, Miss Sanya, and today we are back with another topic. As you all know, that we have completed objective resolution in the previous lecture. So today I am taking a start with Cripps Mission 1942. Well, there were so many questions which were included in the past papers from Cripps Mission 1942. So we are going to discuss each and everything in detail, and I want all of you to kindly stay focused on whatever I am about to tell you. But before moving forward, hurry up, grab your notebook along with pencil and pen and start noting the important pointers. And yes, you're already familiar with the other guidelines. So, starting with Cripps Mission 1942, you can see there is a picture which is given on the right side. So, it states about the Cripps Mission. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi is in this picture and the other leaders. And you can also see a Britisher who's standing with him. Who is this Britisher? We are going to study this in the next slide. All right. Now, before moving forward, let's just take a start with the Cripps mission background. After attacking Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the Japanese forces conquered Southeast Asia and reached Burma in early 1942. Well, you can already see in this, which we have already discussed in objective resolution, and yes, the part of Second World War, that how it was offered to the Indians that they should participate in the Second World War in context of Britishers as a supporter of the Britishers, but the Indians rejected it. Right? So after attacking Pearl Harbor, Japanese forces they just conquered the Southeast Asian part. The major reason was because at that time Japanese forces were suffering from economic crisis. So they needed a platform where they could, overcome all of those economic crises and they could do something for their economy. This is the main reason that they have attacked Southeast Asia and Burma, which I've already highlighted you in the previous slides. Now, coming towards the second part, the British forces were defeated in Rangoon, and when large number of Indian army troops were captured. So you can see the British forces they were defeated in Rangoon by them, and then the large number of Indian army forces they were captured because they have participated in the war and they were captured by them. The threat of an invasion of Japanese troops to India was real because the troops were near to the border of Assam. Here we are talking about Japanese forces. Indians participated, Indians were captured by the Japanese, Indians participated with the Britishers against the Japanese, but they all were captured by them, okay, because these forces were near to the border of Assam where they have attacked. So it means the threat which Japanese have given to the Indian forces as well as to the Britishers living in the subcontinent at that time, the threat was real. Now coming towards the another part of this, the security of the subcontinent was endangered, which created great trouble for the British government. Obviously, when Japanese forces they conquered the Southeast Asia, so automatically this thing was something troubling or bubbling for the British government, who was at that time in the subcontinent. They were ruling it. The British government wanted to win the cooperation of the Indian political parties to manage war requirements. This is something which you can say somewhat a part of Second World War, which was going on one end, and on the other end, Japanese forces were conquering and they were invading the subcontinent. So in between, the Indian political leaders try to just put their issues or to put their rights forward. In between, the British government they wanted cooperation of the Indian political leaders to enter into the Second World War and to support them in that war. The British government tried to unite the Hindu Muslims for their cooperation in the war, win the war, and then transfer of powers to the Indians because Britishers wanted the support of Indians in the war. This is the main reason Britishers asked for the Hindu Muslim unity, that they should be united on one platform, because if they'll be united, then definitely they'll be having a large amount, or you can say that they'll be having a large number of people uh, as an army to work for them, right? But this thing didn't work out because the major reason was the Indians put it their contribution, or the Indians put it the word forward in which they said first you have to transfer the powers and then we will support you. But the Britishers were not in favor of this thing, that they should transfer the powers before the war ends. Now, coming towards the Cripps mission, British Prime Minister sent delegate to Cripps mission to India in March 1942 to hold discussion with Indian leaders. Cripps mission was basically about that Prime Minister sent delegate. It means there was a person, a British official, who was sent to the subcontinent to discuss about this matter, that what should be done next. It was proposed on March 22, 1942. British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill sent Sir Stafford Cripps. The major reason why do we call this mission as Cripps mission, because Sir Stafford Cripps was sent by Sir Winston Churchill to the subcontinent to just lead this matter and to reach this matter to a better conclusion in favor of Britishers, of those House of Commons with constitutional proposals. So he sent them with the constitutional proposals, which stated that all the powers will be transferred to the Indians of the subcontinent after the Second World War. Now, the major reasons of the Cripps mission were: number one, the British government wanted to get the cooperation of the Indian people in order to deal with the war situation, because obviously, if the Britishers are not getting the cooperation of Indian people in the war, then automatically they cannot reach, or you can say that they cannot get successful into their mission. Number two, to highlight them the importance of war to the Britishers and for the subcontinent. Well, there was another reason which was very important, because if they're not highlighting the importance of the winning situation of Britishers in the Second World War, then definitely they lose the subcontinent as well. The diversions between the two major representative parties of the country troubled the British government. But obviously, the major two parties of the subcontinent, one was Muslim League and the other one was Indian Congress, they both were not in favor of this decision, because their demands of giving the powers before the war was not listened by them, and it was rejected. Britishers found it difficult to make the war a success without the cooperation of both the Hindus and Muslims. So they were not finding it as a success. They were finding it as a failure. To promise them self-rule at the end of the war. See, if you're promising someone the self-rule at the end of the war, just tell me one thing: that who knows that who will stay, or you can say that who knows that who will be still present in the subcontinent, because when you're participating in the war, then it actually means that you cannot state that who will die or who will still stay alive. This is the main reason they wanted the transfer of power before, not at the end. Now, coming towards the proposal of Cripps mission, the first proposal, which was given by Stafford Cripps to the people of the subcontinent, especially to the leaders of the Muslim League and Indian National Congress. The first point was general elections in the province would be arranged as soon as the war ended. This proposal was given by them, that the elections would be stood up over there after the war, not before. Then setting up of an Indian dominant, the dominant would have the freedom to remain the British Commonwealth or to secede from it. It would also be at liberty to take part in the international organization. Now, you can see very clearly over here that they are saying this thing, that the Indian dominant power would be granted to them, but still Britishers will stay with them, and they have to listen to Britishers that what exactly they are saying, and they have to conclude their decisions upon whatever Britishers will tell them. It will also be at liberty to take part in international organizations, and then after getting that sort of dominancy, they can even participate in international organizations. Now, coming towards the next part, a constituent assembly would be formed to frame a new constitution for the country. Then, a constituent assembly will also be formed. On this basis, the constituent assembly will be formed for the country, that how many people are participating and what rules and regulations will be introduced into that assembly, which should be implemented by all of the people who are living at that time in the subcontinent. This assembly would have members to elect by the provincial assemblies. Provincial are basically the assemblies of provinces, that each and every province will be having their own government, and the leader will take control of all of those political matters and other matters which are going on into that specific district. Okay, and also nominated by the princes, and it will also be nominated by the princes, that who will be the next leader or what can be done next. Now, Another point states that any province unwilling to join the Indian dominant could form a separate union and have a separate constitution and get the same dominant status as that of India. It was also stated over there that the province, those who are not willing to join the Indian dominance, if they want, so they can just, if they want, they can conquer, not conquer, they can actually make their own separate constitution and state in which they can demand or they can put their rights forward or whatever they want, they can just practice this into that constitution by themselves. The transfer of power and the rights of the minorities would be safeguarded by negotiations between the Constituent Assembly and the British government. So, whatever transfer of powers, whatever powers will be transferred, or the rights of the minorities, it should be safeguarded by negotiations. So, according to the Britishers and the negotiations between the Britishers, the Muslim League, and the National Congress. Okay, so it will be constituted among them that how they will provide what things will be provided by the Britishers for them if they accept the proposal which is given by Stafford Cripps. In the meantime, until this new constitution came into force, Indian defense would be controlled by the Britishers. Till the time this constitution is not getting executed, the Indian defense it would be controlled by the British, and the powers of the Governor General would remain unaltered. Unaltered means that still, if this constitution is not getting practiced until and unless till that time, the Governor General would remain the Britishers, and all the army powers will stay in the hands of the Britishers. So you can automatically see the proposal which was given by Stafford Cripps that it is completely in favor of the Britishers, and the proposal which they are giving, they're giving the aftermath of it, that what would happen after, for example, if they'll be successful into the war. Let's suppose that if the Muslims have listened to this proposal, and for example, and Indians as well, and if they cannot contribute as a successful point of view in this war, then can this constitution will remain the same? Previously, would this have been remained the same, or would this proposal have been cancelled? So this is the main reason that why they didn't accept this proposal. The significance of Cripps mission is, for the first time, the British government acknowledged Indian rights to be a dominant status. Indian could frame their own constitution. The proposal of giving freedom to the provinces to be a separate union turned out to be a model for the country participation in 1947, and the rights to secede from the Commonwealth indicated full sovereignty at a later stage. It means that this proposal actually described and highlighted that why it is playing a very important and prominent role in this. Muslim League showed that they will not accept anything less than Pakistan. Muslim League also realized that Congress was totally against Pakistan, and in the interim period, Indians was guaranteed a good share in the administration. So you can see that this proposal was completely in favor of Muslims, not in favor. This was completely in favor of Indians, because Stafford Cripps were continuously speaking about in favor of Indians, but he was not speaking in favor of Muslims. So Muslims didn't find this proposal as that it is in favor of them, or it is supporting any of the element of Muslims. This is the main reason that Muslims were not in favor of Cripps mission, and they boycotted. They were completely speaking that no, we are not supporting any of the objective which is coming in this. Now we are going to discuss about why did the Cripps mission fail in the next slide or in the next presentation. I hope that all of these pointers are clearer to all of you till here. If you people are still having any sort of questions, so definitely you can ask me on KP under the comment section. I will respond to you over there. Inshallah, we return back with the second part of it in the next section. So till then, take care, barakallah, and Allah Hafiz.